What did you say earlier?
Let's do this, Jessica.
I was like, what is
Welcome
that
back
from?
to the Always Right podcast. I'm author Karisa DeLay.
And I'm water dog Jaime Vendera.
Telling Jamie that he needs to get an official
Always right podcasts.
Water bottle. Yeah,
But
and I need a cup for my coffee.
But it's so funny because I was talking about Sean and his t-shirt machines, and I was thinking, I woke up last night, I was like, I need an Always Right podcast t-shirt for when I go to Poland. I don't know why. It's like I gotta get that made.
Yes, you need to have it in gray and black so you can wear it twice.
Yeah, or just too black, and I'll just wear it twice, and they won't know.
And then you need to get some in small and send them to me.
I'll get on it. I mean, it may, and if you're listening, Sean, I know it'll take you 6 months. I won't have them for Poland because I literally ordered muscle shirts for the summer in June.
Who wears muscle shirts?
Just so I can have for kayaking and stuff and get some sun when I'm outside. And I think he thought I meant summer 2025 because I still ain't got these freaking t-shirts. So he texted me his picture yesterday because he's got 2 new t-shirt machines. He's like, check this out. And then he does these posters and laminates. And I'm like, wait a minute. That doesn't look like my t-shirts being printed. And I'm kind of sarcastic. And he says, yeah, you're right. And I thought he's probably mad. And I was like, I need my t-shirts, Sean, now, not 27 years from now.
Yeah, because we need to have an Always Right Christmas edition shirt.
Yeah, we could for 2025.
Yeah, we can make the a Christmas tree.
Oh, that would be cool.
All right. Anyways, so we have a topic today, and Jamie has been in charge today of the note taking, and he did a great job.
Yeah, but just be honest. What did you say to me before we started?
I said you did a good job asking AI to write your notes for you.
I did. It was the hardest 3 minutes of my life. But I
added to it, though. I have added to it. I enhanced
How could you add to that? AI did a great job.
Yes, but it was, again, you were like the classmate that I had, where I'm like, this is so AI.
That's so AI. I can't do it like
AI,
you do.
I can tell.
But I hit most of the right buttons. So, all right. Yeah. So what is journaling?
Well, journaling, you didn't even tell them the topic. The topic is journaling.
Okay, so this is about journaling. So now you know the topic. So what is journaling? Wow, there's so much to discuss in this because I've been journaling since I was a kid. I remember being in 6th grade in English, and we've talked about this before. I never wanted to write. And our 6th grade English teacher introduced us to journaling. And I was like, this is so boring. You can write about anything you want in this journal. How was your weekend? What did you do? And I was just like, I played outside. I did this. It's so boring. But then she said, make up stuff. You can write anything. So then my journaling became more of little mini stories. And it hooked me, though. And I've been journaling all my life. I've kept diaries. I've done workout diaries, vocal workout diaries. I kept notes when I'm studying voice, when studying this and that. So I have tons.
Like Diary of a Wimpy Kid? You did Diary of a
crazy
singing kid?
Yep, indeed. So who might want to journal?
Well, before we get into who might want to journal, I like how you put the origins here of journaling. I mean, and it's interesting because a lot of my classes talk about not necessarily journaling, but going from oral traditions to written traditions. And it kind of started in small journaling of things that were being said. You have here how journaling kind of dates back to Egypt and Rome and how records were kept on, the types of paper and stone, which I always think about stone writing when they would do it. That would be so hard. Can you slow down, please? I cannot keep up.
I know. And then it's like, we only have 2 of these in existence. And it took us weeks to make both of these journals.
Yeah. But no whiteout.
Yeah.
You got to get it right.
You're like, no, I shipped it in the wrong. That's not the right.
You said the wrong there.
Yes, it's not there or there. It's there. Get it right. Give me another stone. But it was impressive because I'm looking, they're talking about Marcus Aurelius, and he used commentary to reflect on personal and public matters. He talks about his writings like meditations or a prime example of early self-reflection. So, and of course they weren't doing this on a stone tablet back in Rome.
No, but they had papyrus back then.
But, we were keeping track of this. There was oral traditions and then there was written traditions, as we advanced in civilization throughout the thousands of years.
And honestly, which is interesting, is they can tell how old something is based on the paper that they used, the ink that was available, but the context of how much information was on the document.
Mhm.
A lot of times, certain time frames, I read this in one of my religion classes, where they knew that a certain king found an old document of religious, teachings that did no longer apply to the time. It was from a long time ago, but he thought it was like, oh, I found this. Now we have to reapply it. So he was reintroducing old law that was no longer, essentially viable for that time period. But they knew that based on how it was written, that he had done that because he was bringing stuff that didn't in that time frame have context, if that makes sense.
Yep. Well, and it had to be harder back then too, because now we have the internet, and even before the internet, we had printing presses. So really, even though they were in an age where they could write on paper, think of the scribes they had to do this. So they didn't have like thousands and thousands of copies of these
Not
laws
only that, they
going
didn't
out
have.
everywhere. So of course they could forget over the decades.
I was gonna say that they didn't have the Walmart of today to go buy more papyrus. They had to use their supplies on a very limited basis. Like, I got to get this right the first time, and then repeat it. Scribes would sit and repeat these journals. A lot of the stuff we have of religious texts or perspective texts is all just journaling that's been repeated, like, and taken into philosophy and all this stuff. And
Indeed.
people, yes.
And then we advance. Leonardo da Vinci. He had notebooks that are very famous examples, sketches.
Yeah, and explorers. Yeah.
Yes. So I think I look back like, wow, if I could get my hands on some of these journals. Tesla. I wonder if he kept journals because, wow, think about
Yeah,
the
well,
inventions.
yeah, he had his stuff because he all his work and stuff. You got to think a lot of journaling may not have been today as I pondered by the pond, looking at the Everglades, and it was never like all that way. Some of it was just like I'm journaling what I'm doing and keeping track of it. So not all journaling is just words. Some of it can be drawings. Some of it can be paintings. There are so many types of journals now where you can buy them like and have them in hand. There's some later on we're going to talk about some of the apps that you have that are available not for just word text, but there are apps that are available where you can document your day and keep a journal of just pictures. And it's just your personal journal.
Yeah, because you think about it, if you go on Amazon, type in journal, you're liable to get anything: a sketchbook for your artwork, a personal empowerment journal, a workout journal,
Hmm.
a
Oh
food
yeah,
journal, travel
yes,
journal. There's tons of
yes,
them.
yes. Yeah, and I mean, it's a pretty widespread thing because I think about we talked about Anne Frank's journal or diaries at one point in an episode. There were a lot of people that writing your stuff down was really a highlight of your day, kind of putting it to your journal. When you had a journal, did you ever be like, "Dear journal"?
Yes, I did. Like I'm talking to my journal.
I did
Dear
that.
journal, I really wish Lisa would pay me attention. I think she's so
Amy,
cute. Yeah, but she sits next to me in science, but then when we're in a band together, she doesn't even want to talk to me because she's around her other
mhm.
friends. So you're always complaining or talking about what day you had. Or dear journal, why didn't Santa Claus bring me this one thing I asked for 10 months now?
Yeah, mine was always Dear Diary, but yeah.
Yep,
Did you? What? So did when you did it? Did you record the weather that day?
I did not.
I would always record the weather, the day of the week, and something else. I
I
was just
always
thinking about.
dated it, but that was about it.
I dated it, but sometimes I'm thinking I don't want to go back and look at what day this was. But I would even do like what time of day it was. If I would go back, I'm like, what state of mind was I in?
Yeah, I'd often do like a journal, and I'd like come up with like a mantra. Like whatever it could be, like every day and every way I'm getting better and better. I'm just throwing that out there. And I'd start my journal and write like this positive statement every day for a mindset. And now you see a lot of those. You see like the 369 journals where you write a positive statement 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, 9 times in the evening, and you do it for so long to make it.
That sounds like a witching manifestation of like
Exactly. It's
doing like
manifesting.
6 incantations a day, and you're just
Yes. And
manifesting
you
it into
light
the world.
candles and you do this 14 times and then it comes true.
Yes, but now question, have when you would ever go back and read your journals, you're like, "Oh my gosh, I was such a doofus." Did you ever take any out and throw them away
Yeah.
for no one to ever read again?
Yes, yes. I remember I even had a journal with musical ideas, and I remember I left my journal somewhere and we were in electronics as like a junior, senior. And my buddy's like, hey, dude. And he had it open to a page. And he's like, you dropped your journal. It was lyrics. And there was a song called Bad Medicine was out by Bon Jovi. So I was like, I came up with a song called Give Me a Shot. I'm gonna give her a little, then give her a lot, or something stupid. His old cheesy lyrics, and he's laughing. He's like, dude, it's like you copied Bad Medicine, and like, no, I didn't. And I'm reading. I'm like, oh yeah, I did.
That's funny.
So yes, then I was very protective. I made sure I put my journals away so people can read my silly writings.
Yeah. Yeah. But I also, when I go back, I think if somebody ever finds these when I'm dead, I don't want them to read that. I gotta take that out.
Better
God.
burn them now, baby, because you
Yes.
never know.
But isn't it crazy how when you're journaling, you realize where you were to where you've come?
Oh yeah, I mean, you look back. I mean, it's still learning. I wouldn't trade any of it for the world, even if I could consider it was immature. Like even if I was keeping journals in the 2000s, there's a lot of stuff I was doing with voice because at the time I was running to the library and ordering books from like New York to be sent to my library, books from the 1800s on voice, taking notes. And then after years of teaching, I'm like, you know what? Some of this works and some of this doesn't. Why was I teaching like that for so long when I could see what it was doing? Da 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 da. And so, you always grow from them,
Yeah.
or you go back and think, I can't believe, when I was in sixth grade, I wanted to be a fireman. I never want to be what is wrong? Why did I want to be that and I don't now?
You probably had something that sparked your enthusiasm that day. But it's cool to go back and see where you went and be like, I never even ended up that way. This is where I
Yep,
ended up. So
indeed.
in that moment, you were so convinced this is how it was going to be.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's a great thing even for authors because really, if you look at old journals, and I know a lot of them are about like, if it was a traveler coming from England to America, they're keeping a journal on how the sea was and this and that. So they're documenting everything. But I guarantee you, if you look in there, even if some of the people were keeping a journal of their everyday thing, their life might have got a little boring, so they might have embellished a little bit, just made something up, like, oh, today, an apple fell from the tree and I caught it with one hand, and they didn't happen. But honestly, that was kind of the beginning of creative writing.
Yeah.
You start to explore, like, how can I make life more exciting? Why do I write fiction? It's because I want to live this adventure. So,
There is a journal. Oh my gosh, the history of it is escaping me right now. But I put it in Crystal Gate and Four Rivers. I put this in there, and the thing is that the author is unknown. But based on the writing and based on what's in there, they can kind of decipher the time period. There's these strange maps in it. I cannot think of the name. And whoever documented it was in a new space that they don't know where it was a Voyager. Like, I'll have to share it with you because
yeah.
I have pictures of it. And I put it in for, Crystal Gate and Four Rivers. Actually, hold on.
Does it have like a different topography? Because on a lot of those old journals, like the flat Earth, and there's like there's supposed to be another part of the Earth above the ice wall, and
Mhm.
so, and I'm sure that came from a lot of that journaling from early on as well.
Well, and the thing is, it's a part of my book writing journaling that I keep a notebook of that stuff, and I just found it recently. And I was because I keep whenever I do research, I keep those. It's almost like a journal of everything I'm putting together. And so I just found that stuff, but I can't remember the name of it. But I used it in the book. What?
I just came up with a great journal idea that we should put out: the Procrastinator's Journal, and it looks like it's this thick, but you open it up, it's just one thick page. That's it.
I'm done.
Yeah. All right.
Journal.
Someone's gonna
Anyways,
steal that idea for a
yeah.
gag gift, or be like,
Some of those journals are kind of interesting how people would go on voyages and they can get clues based on what they put in there, where it came from, all that stuff. So a lot of the explorers, when they were exploring new territory, based on vegetation they were drawing that may not be available in certain areas, they knew this was the only place at that time that vegetation was growing. So this had to be from this time period and in this area.
wow.
All right. So types of journals.
Okay.
Types of journals.
Dear Diary.
Dear Diary, today Lisa looked at Jamie. I don't know why Lisa's
Finally.
looking at Jamie.
Yes. I don't know why you don't talk to me. And I'm over here journaling. I don't know why she won't speak to me. So yeah, I mean, everyone, well, not everybody, but a lot of people's kept a dear diary or a journal just to document everything. I told Diana and I discussed this before. We wish we'd have kept a cat journal because I guarantee you we've been in this house like 25 years. We probably had 150, 200 cats come through here. And I would love to have kept the track of all their names because I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I remember for the most part most of my cats' names. Not many of my dog names. I'm like, oh, I had this dog. I don't remember what it was called. I just remember what it looked like. But most of the cats, I remember all their names.
Well, when you got dozens coming through, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
different
but
story.
you have like a cat brothel.
I do. It's like, but Diane won't think this joke's funny, so I didn't tell it. It's like, Mom, I want McDonald's. We got McDonald's at home. Mom, I want to go to the animal shelter and see the animals. We got animal shelter at home.
Right?
That's funny to me, but
Yes.
that's what it's like. It's like we're a
Like
generic
yeah.
animal shelter.
It's more like a retirement home for your animals, though.
It's
They're
true.
on their deathbed.
Yes, because we got this one. We named her Tuesday. She don't have any teeth. She probably 16, 17, little black cat. She loves me. Greasy little body. I've got a brush her. She would never come around me. And then I don't know how she ran by me, and I had one of those brushes to get off the extra hair. And it went right across her back, and then she
And she's like,
stopped.
ooh,
Yeah, and then she kept
I
working.
like that.
Yep, and now she's an inside cat.
Yeah, she's like, so you and the brush, we could be friends. Yes. Okay. So basic journaling, traditional entries, like we talked about, things that most people are familiar with when they're talking about the Dear Diary journaling type stuff. There's the random fiction story journaling, which I have learned and enjoy doing.
Yeah, that's really how I started too.
Yeah, I have become accustomed to doing this in my Apple Notes app. Even though Apple does have its own journaling app, that's for more of a personal thing. I like to use the Notes app and I will journal chapters. I will what I'm thinking, what I'm wanting to put for the characters, little notes. I have several for Canvas, like whether it's the little hidden meanings. I have one as I write a chapter and Jamie's in this notes. I'm like, okay,
Yep.
stop here. Don't read further. I haven't added
You're
anything.
like, have you read through the prologue of the first 2 chapters? Well, when you say in there, stop reading here, and I put okay. That means I stopped there yesterday. But
Listen.
it might not have taken, though. Like we were talking about how we were having
Yeah.
trouble with the internet yesterday, so my little K might not even be in there.
Yeah.
So that might be why.
Yeah.
All
well,
right.
yeah, because you said you changed how something was spelled or whatever. Because when I'm typing, sometimes with these nails, some of the P's get to become the Y's.
Yeah, but if I change it, you would see that I updated it, right?
Yes, but I updated it.
That's
so
right.
when you
Yeah.
changed it, you changed the old version that had already been
Yep.
updated that didn't update on your end. So you were like changing in the ether.
Well, yeah, and then I stopped thinking, what am I thinking? I know you know this. There's no sense in me doing because that's just your brain dumping to get it out. Workout journals. I mean, I've had tons of those. Half finished, full finished, not finished. I've actually released a journal called the Ultimate Vocal Workout Diary. And since with singing, I'm more of a vocal strength trainer, so I look at my exercise program like you're taking your voice to the gym. So we keep track of it just like you would a workout journal, like how many reps and sets have you done of a bench press or this, how much water have you drank that day. So, performance.
0 to all of the above.
Yeah, diet, the works for everything, which, I mean, got food journal down here, but any workout journal is just to track, your performance, your physical health, mental health, all that good stuff. Self-help journal. Go ahead.
Listen, going back to workout journal, the only workout journal that I have is my Apple Watch when I hit going outdoor walking. And I do that at least 2, maybe 3 times a week. I've gotten the habit of doing a 3.5 mile walk. And so I have a whole route that I do.
Yeah, I use a step tracker and just try to get as many as I can in a day.
Well, I
but
have
you
the
probably go
route
to the beach, so.
yeah. Well, if you'd come to Florida.
I know.
I mean, I'll probably come to Ohio before you'll come to Florida.
All right, next journal.
Self-help journals. Now, I added into this because there are medical studies, but I didn't find any that I could put on here that I would consider placing I didn't want to put this as like we are saying this is medical advice.
Yeah.
We didn't do that. But there are studies out there that show that journaling can help with ADHD and different depressions and going through things and helping you kind of putting things down instead of keeping it in, helping you release it, doing it before you go to bed, doing things like that. Have a whole list of those that we can go down here in a little bit of ways that journaling can help you.
This is unleash your creative mindset. I
Mhm.
literally have them keep a mindset diary with like 5 questions. Like I wake up in the morning. I haven't kept it for a while, so I'm not gonna lie. But if I'm keeping it, it'd be like, what am I going to do today to better myself? And it could be anything like, oh, I'm going to work on this song. Oh, I'm actually going to start Age of the Sigil, so Carissa don't kill me. Da, 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 da,
Mm.
da. So I do use that from time to time. Apparently, I need to get back into it, so I finished Sigil, which I've said for the last 27 podcasts.
Okay, it is Thursday. We record on Thursdays unless we
Yep.
have a special guest, and usually that's on Mondays. So Monday we do have a special guest coming. Jamie has until Monday
Yeah.
to get on the
But
ball.
that's I needed that because now I'll be like, I got to be prepped for this.
You need to be ready for our guest on Monday.
Yep.
All right. Also, with you're talking about your creative mindset, like music journals, you could probably, which I don't know if you put this in the apps. Are there apps for music journals where you can record yourself singing and it'll just kind of keep those logged?
Yeah, and I actually use just even the basic app, the basic recording app on iPhone. And I actually prompt a lot of my students. I'm like, look, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you have an idea,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want to write down if you have lyrics or a melody, grab it and sing it. I remember this is back in 94, 93, 94 when Diane and I just moved in together. Didn't have that at the time, didn't have an iPhone back then. But I woke up and the most amazing piano song came to my head. I don't know if I told you a story before. I got
No, I'm
up.
just imagining Diane being like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, so I got up, snuck in the other room to the music room, went to turn on the keyboard. It wouldn't turn on. I was like, what the hell's going on? And then I realized I was dreaming, unless I was astral projecting. Boom, back, and I woke up. And I thought, okay, if it's really that good of an idea, I'll remember it in the morning. So I closed my
Never.
eyes, and then I thought, I need to get up. So I got my freaking butt up. I went in the other room. I went to press the button, turn on my electronic keyboard, and my finger went right through it. It's like, what is going on? Second time in a row that I
God.
wasn't really there. And then boom, and I woke up. And after that second time, I thought, I'm too tired. If it's really that good, I will remember it in the morning. I'm not messing with it. I went to sleep, woke up, every note was gone. So, if you gotta keep a music journal, if you write music, you can have the staff. If you write notation, that's fine. Lyrics, whatever.
Well, and here's the thing with that, always write it down.
Yep.
Always sing it out. Always journalize it because I don't know how many times I'm like, I'm going to remember this in the morning.
And you never do.
And you don't. Or I'm going to remember this when I get home from the grocery store. No, you're not. In the moment, take your notes app, put it on your phone, put it in there somewhere so you can keep that. And I did that. I remember, and I'm bad about this sometimes when I'm like, oh, I'll remember. I'm like, I don't remember what I was thinking, but that was so good when I thought about it.
Yeah, that's what I have my guitarist Scott do, which he's always in it. He'll come up with a riff. He's got like probably thousands of audio notes on his phone, and then every once in a while he'll batch send me a bunch of them, and just the way I am is how we work together. I'm like, and it's not that they're bad, but I'm like, nope, nope, no, oh, yeah, and it's like I
Mm-hmm.
want to write something out of that.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
how we write music together.
All right, another type of journal, which is an art journal, which I've spoke of like watercolor journals, people doing sketches. These are typically,
Charcoal. Yep.
yeah, and these are all great for people that go to art or will go into art school because they want your portfolio and you can use your journaling over time and you can see where you came from. You can go back and be like, this is where I started. And you see that a lot on Instagram, TikTok, and other social media apps that people will be like, this is where I started. Now look where I'm at with my drawing. And you're like, oh, you've progressed. So it's nice to see your progression, as far as, and journaling is a great way to see where you started to where you are now.
Yeah, my cousin Meredith, she's a massage therapist that works on me, and actually her fiance, or might as well call him hubby, is doing drums for us, and I'll be over at her house Friday mornings, and she's doing the same thing. I never knew she was into art, and she's like, because I'm like, hey, you need to design your business card, and she's like, oh, like this, and she's writing something out, and I'm like, oh, she's like, well, here's my sketch pad. I'm like, wow, I had no clue.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Oh, yeah. All right. Travel journals, which I feel people get upset sometimes, like, oh, I can't stand when Karen puts out her travels. I'm
yeah.
just like, we don't want to know. Then don't look. People want to share what they're doing. People want to journal and keep memories of what they're doing.
And it's so funny, Chris, you say that because my wife, she's even bought me a travel journal. Like, check off where you go when you're doing TV shows and stuff. And she's like, I don't understand why you didn't keep better track and take more videos, more pictures. Probably because of that. I mean, I see like, oh, I don't care that you've been here or been there. So like when I literally go somewhere like Poland or India, I do take pictures, but I don't get as involved as I should. I don't immediately post. I'll wait and come back and post a few pictures here and there. But
Safety reasons, I would highly suggest waiting until you get back.
yeah, that's one thing. I don't want people to know.
Documenting it is a great thing because I feel like, photo albums are a type of journaling of your travels and your experiences. We see these photo albums and they're journaling our life. They're keeping inventory of what happened in our past. And we don't have as many photo albums. Everything's on our phones. But what happens if your phone gets destroyed? You can go to your social media and retrieve it.
Yeah, and I do that.
You don't have like an iCloud. Like we have the Amazon cloud thing where the pictures my husband like saves to our Amazon. What, you keep having these little things flying around in your house?
Because I'm telling you, I don't have my air purifier on downstairs, and it's just crazy. Too many animals is exactly what it is.
If Zach Baggins was in there, he'd be thinking your house was possessed because you got all these floaties.
I know, like, look, there's another orb. No, what it is I need to get somebody in here and clean out the vents, because when you have a beagle and when you've had a husky in your house and 27 cats running back and forth, it's everywhere. I had a black shirt on earlier, and I'm like, yeah, cat just walked on me. I can't do it. See what happened when I did that? Now they fly, so they're there.
I see them.
I'm really not ADHD. It's these things floating through the air, and I'm always doing
stop
this.
Blaming. You stop it.
All right.
You are.
So, dream journal. I never really kept a dream journal, but there have been times like, wow, that's the craziest dream. I got to write that down.
Yeah, I did that, and it turned into Crystal Gate.
Now I'm paranoid. I'm trying to keep the floaties all out of your line of sight.
No, it's fine.
No,
my dream journaling turned into 2-book series.
Really? You never told me that.
Crystal Gate was a dream.
Maybe you did tell me that.
Yeah, I did. I know I did. You just don't remember.
Yeah, because that was more than 2 days ago when you told me. So.
No, Crystal Gate, I remember I had such a vivid dream of the ending that I was like, that is, oh my gosh, it's so intense. Like I felt like I was in it, very lucid. And I told my husband, I remember he was standing at his closet. I was like, I had this dream. I was telling him, I was like, it just seems like a really good movie and a story. I think I want to write a book. And he's like, he's always been my big number 1 supporter. He's like, do it. I went out and bought my first iPad and started writing. 9 months later, I birthed Crystal Gate.
Yeah, that's crazy. I guess I do dream it, but like if I'm working on a book in the past, I would dream things, but I think I go to sleep thinking about it, and I'm processing, and I'm thinking about it. I'd wake up like, well, I know where it's going to go now, and then hurry up and write it down.
Yeah,
Same thing with lyrics.
I haven't had that happen with anything else. Most of mine is daydreaming. I daydream about my books.
I do. Yep.
I'm listening to music and I daydream about the chapters. So I do that and I log it into my notes and stuff.
Well, then do you find you're like driving in the car, like, and then you turn on your audio and you're like, or text to speech.
Yes.
Get it up.
And listen, this has become, it's not annoying. It's slightly funny, but just a tidbit frustrating because the people around me don't know what's happening. I use text to talk a lot more now than I have ever because it's convenient. The problem is when I'm doing that, and then my husband, I have to laugh because he knows it happens almost every time. If I'm texting someone back and I'm using, like, someone texts me, you hit what they say in your car and you're driving. Do you want to respond? Yes. And then I go to respond, and there's that little kind of lag before it completes. He'll talk, and I'm like, okay, I got to change it now because now what you just said is in there.
It happened to me yesterday. I ran to Burger King to get some just burger patties. And I'm texting. Yes, like Diane likes with pickles. Max have a few. And then I'm texting something, and then she's like, says something, we're talking because I know the people there. I'm like, yeah. I looked, I was like, forgot to turn off the microphone. So I got to erase like 17 words.
Yes. And when you're doing text to talk, it doesn't let you delete it as easy. You turn the text to talks off, and then you have to.
It drives me nuts.
Insane.
I've gotten so used to it. Sometimes if I'm texting somebody instead of using text to speech, I got to get a lot out. I'll hit the microphone button so it records audio.
Yeah, you've done that before.
And did I ever be like, "Hey, Karisa, period, we got to go to do this, comma."
No, you haven't
Yes,
done that when you
I've
know.
done that to some friends. They're like, "What the heck are you doing?" I was like, "I forgot. I'm not using text to speak."
Yes. Yes. Food journals.
Ooh.
So food journals are really good for people who are trying to follow your journey of like weight loss or cancer treatments, and you're choosing like a different diet for cancer, or when you're doing diets that are specific for sugar free. People look for those. So it's nice that you may not be thinking about others and when you're doing it, but it is beneficial when people are like, do you have good recipes? I have a client, I'm like, she's busy. She's a nurse practitioner. And even though I'm not as busy per se as I used to be when I was in Ohio, I still have days where I'm like, I don't have time to stand and cut everything up and, be there at like blah, blah time to get dinner ready. I'll crock pot it. And I have found some really great crock pot ideas to do. And she's like, she'll text me now, what did you have tonight? Or like, what's another idea? Or what's that one you told me about with chicken and green beans? I have two crock pots because I have my meat eaters and my vegetarians.
No, that's a great idea. And a lot of people they're tracking calories or they
Mhm,
want to know how many carbs, how much protein
mhm.
they've had if they're on a strict diet or they're working out and they're wanting to bulk up or build muscle or cut weight.
Or and when you're doing your food journals, it's also nice to share your ups and downs with people. So I feel people look for food journals often, and you can almost overlap a few of these. Your food journal with your travel journal, your travel food
Yeah,
journal.
that's what I was thinking because I'm like it'd be like, oh, we ate at this little quaint French restaurant. It's called this, and I've never had this before. And that's the type of journal I would keep because when I'm in China or Japan or wherever, I had some amazing food. And looking back, I'm like, "Ah, I wish." Oh, for example, I was leaving Japan once, and I was at with my interpreter at the airport. He's like, "You got to let me buy you ramen, so you have real
Real
ramen,
ramen.
not this little thing in a package that you guys think are ramen."
And that Ohioans called ramen.
Yes, ramen. I could live off of Japanese ramen or Chinese ramen, wherever. Well, I can't even remember now where it was. China, Japan, somewhere. I've had it there both.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because their noodles are made from. It's no different than going to Italy and having their pasta. Their pasta is different than having pasta here. It's not the crap that we eat. So okay, so this last one you put in here, bullet journal. So
Yeah,
this is kind of more like a you're
schedule
scheduling. Yeah, it's
planner.
almost like your calendar. But a lot of times people on Etsy have these, and they're very decorative. They have stickers. So, and this is the ones that help with ADD, help with anxiety and things like that to keep you on point and make you feeling like you're not missing something.
Yeah, and I'm a lists person, so this works for me. And I know it ain't really a journal, but like my first time in my life, and I told you this last week, I'm actually organized with teaching singers, and I know who's there. Is my wife bought me something called a skylight calendar, which isn't really a journal. It's a 15-inch monitor, like a computer monitor.
Yes, yes, yes. One of my friends got one of those.
And Diane
She
got one
loved
for
it.
work, and she's like, She's like, I don't want to get one without you. I'm like, I don't want to waste the money. Well, let me get you one anyway. And she said, if you want to send it back, I'm like, ugh, why'd you get this? And then it has an app. It could tie it with any like Google Calendar or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can color code.
Yes.
Like always, right is in there. Monday's in there, and it's yellow. My biweekly students are red. My weekly students are blue.
So let me ask you this. If okay, this is the Sky Journal, right?
Yes,
Okay. So my friend Lynn has this. And the thing is, Lynn never kept her calendar. She never did anything digital. She just tried to remember everything.
that's
Well, she
me.
was a travel mom. Yeah, she was a travel mom. I'm like, and so myself and another friend, Stephanie, we're talking like, listen, we got to get you organized because she had like 5 or 6 kids that were like going in different directions. One's going here, one's going here. And she's like, and I'm just trying to keep track. I'm like, why do you not have this written down on a calendar? And so she went ahead and bought the Sky Calendar, and then we checked back with her at the next tournament. She's like, I'm loving it. The
Yep.
whole family is involved. Now, let me ask you this though. With that, can you share your calendar if somebody else has a Sky
I'm
calendar?
pretty sure you can. I can't 100% say because I thought about sharing it with my wife so she can see and keep track. But
You
we
should be
wouldn't.
able now within your same within you. You guys should be able to share the same calendar.
Well, but we wouldn't want to do that because hers is for work. If I would be like freaked out if all of a sudden all her appointments were on there.
Oh, I see what you're saying, but like you can make some of them shareable and some of them not.
Yeah, and you could also you could connect it to an MSN or a Gmail calendar. So if I wanted to connect her to my Google Calendar and not necessarily a Skylight calendar, I set up in Skylight, but then she can have access to that and I could do it. She's like, that's what Jamie's got for today.
So you can have it on your phone.
Yep, I
but
do.
You also have a screen at your house, right?
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah, because I got it on the other side of this room where I teach, and I just do this. I spin around like I got so and so. It came in handy the other day. I'm like, wow, I don't have a long teaching day. I was off by 5, and it wasn't making any sense to me. And then one of my students texted me. She says, "Now remember, I'm off this week. I'm just reminding you," because she knows how I am. I'm like, yeah, I already knew that because you're not on my calendar. I would have been like, where are you at? That's what I do. I do that. I'm in Hawaii. I'm in recording session. So yes, it keeps me a point. Plus, you can set it up.
This is something because I know my husband would be listening. He should look into seeing if maybe this would work for our family because I put everything in our calendar, but not everybody looks at it. So it'd be nice if it was there for everybody to see what we have going on.
You would love it, Karisa. I mean, I know it's not necessarily a journal, but it's still along this line with a bullet journal.
It's kind of like a calendar, but keeps everybody like
on
in
point.
A sense, on point with scheduling and making sure everybody's documented. When everybody has the app, they can put it in there and they can sync it to where people can see it.
So we could. I mean, she could have the app and she could say, I don't know if you could like cross it. I have to look into that deeper, or she would have to sign out and sign back into my calendar to see mine. But you could have it there on your fridge, on your wall, setting on the stand. You could have everything color coded for every person in your house, so you know, oh, it's this one, this one, this one has everything to do. Yes, I love it. Alarms, you can set it to remind you whenever, an hour before, 10 minutes before. Bless you. What else? It goes off and on, so I set mine to come on like I don't teach in the mornings anymore. I leave it open for this and writing and everything. So I set it to come on at 11:45, and I end it in the evening, like at 8:45 or whenever, when I know I'm not going to have any more lessons. And it does that throughout the week. So it turns off on its own. Sweet.
Yeah. Okay. I put in here some older famous journals, and some of these are people that we've talked about, like, Hawthorne and Hamilton, and haven't really talked about Hamilton, but we have talked about like Thoreau and stuff. Samuel Johnson, he did 208 essays and published them twice weekly. It was called The Rambler. It was a journal of his entries from like the 1700s.
Yeah, that and the next one, the Federalist Papers by Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay, 1787 through 1788. These were written by 3 authors, and each paper was typically authored by one individual. This reminds me, I have an online school called Vendera Vocal Academy, and every Monday we release the Motivated Vocalist newsletter. It's kind of like a journal, and there's at least 3 to 4 articles. I write one every week. We have several other coaches in the school that write articles. And it could be on a topic, anything related to voice, music. Right. So, yes. So it's kind of like that. So when I hear about the Rambler, I'm like, I know it's a journal, but it's more like the first newsletter or something back in the.
Well, and I'm sure my kids actually probably know what the Rambler is, because my kids are obsessed with, not obsessed, that's the wrong word. They really like Hamilton and like that time period and history, and they're always going through these things. They're all learning about that stuff, and they get involved in like learning more about it. And I always find that fascinating that they do that, because I hated history. It's nice when they go offshoot from the classroom and go watch other things to learn about the history, like Hamilton or whatever.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. The Journal of Henry David Thoreau. Now I put in here, it was published posthumously, and I defined posthumously for our listeners because that means it's published after the person dies. It's after the person's death. It's given the publication afterwards. A little fun facts for you. I'm moving my thing because I'm looking on my phone. My phone screen's a little smaller like than my computer. The Dial by Margaret Fuller.
That phone screen better be a little smaller than your computer.
I mean,
could you imagine carrying an iPad size? Here's my phone.
Funny story. There was a guy who his kid was in the same class as my kid. So whenever we went on field trips, no joke, he would take his iPad Pro to film things, to track meets, to field trips. I was like, your phone can, but this is a better picture. I'm like, no, it's not.
It's not.
Oh my gosh.
But
He was
in
not.
this day and age, you could literally almost use your iPad as a phone. I mean, you can connect so much to
Yeah,
it.
but why would you?
I
I mean,
know. Because you
so
say,
like
hello?
my iPad, my laptop, and my phone are all connected.
Yeah,
So when my phone goes off, all three go off. Whatever part I'm in the house, I'm going to get the phone
I
call
know.
coming.
That's what drives me nuts. Because even like teaching on Skype, I'll forget sometimes, and this will be plugged in this iPad over here, and ring, it's ringing over here. Like, what? Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Walt Whitman, Leaves of Grass. Oh, I didn't the Margaret Fuller one. Yeah, this was included the contributions from
the dial.
the dial. Yeah, this was the 1800s. This was 1840 1844. While it included contributions from others, Fuller was the primary editor and contributor to the works inside there. Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. These are just some of the older ones I wanted to throw in there because I know we have our echoes of authors past. I'm just kind of throwing some echoes of authors past into this episode to kind of throw some journaling people. But anyways, people did a lot of journaling back then and published them. You probably don't see as much of that anymore, but there are somewhat that style of stuff when people give personal accounts. And I feel like that's almost an evolved version of autobiographies and stuff. It's journaling your life. It's journaling something that, or your memoir. Your memoir could be considered almost a journal with a published source. All right. So this is another part I added. The importance of journaling.
You
What are
mean
the
AI didn't do a good enough job? I
I,
told you that was a rough 3 minutes for me.
listen, I got home. We had quarterfinal regionals last night in Tallahassee. We were like 2.5 hours away from the house. We got home late, probably like 11 o'clock. And of course, I drank too much caffeine yesterday because I want to make sure I stayed awake. 3 o'clock
Like,
this morning,
it's
I'm
like let
blinking.
me go through Jamie's notes.
Yeah, so if you look at the timestamp on when I added to the notes, it was probably between the hours of 2 a.m. and 3 a.m.
Well, if it isn't blatantly obvious, Karisa takes 99.9% of the notes for the podcast. And she is so awesome because she's like, this is what we're doing this week. Or I'll have an idea, like every 37 ideas. I'm like, what about this? All right, I've already written the notes for it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's cool. And I was like, I felt bad. And she's like, well, you write the journaling one. I was like, what would Karisa do? And I thought I did a really good job. But
You did. You did great. Because a lot of times AI is about prompting.
yep.
Prompting the right, yes, and you did a great job.
No, but like what you done, because now I'm learning, because I'm like, and I don't know why I didn't catch that. Why didn't I think to go back and list some journals from authors in the past? And that wasn't one of my prompts. So now you put that in there, and you always do that. You're always reflecting, so we have that part of history
Yeah,
as
you
well.
gotta build. You gotta build. Like when you like, okay, give me an idea. And sometimes I'll do that. I'll go into like my AI. I'm like, give me some points to talk about this topic, and it'll give me like maybe 5 to 6. And so I'll take those topics and then I'll offshoot and figure out more about them. Or I'll go to Google or Encyclopedia Britannica or some other things and be like, because sometimes if you don't realize, AI can only give you so much. Like it can only take it to a certain point. Any of the information, you kind of have to cross-reference it to make sure it's accurate because it's not always up to date. Sometimes it's only like 2023, a year ago. Like it's only that's as far as it's been up if it's not an open AI. All right. Keeping a journal has numerous benefits, like we've said, especially for your mental health and your personal well-being and your growth and just overall. So I listed a few: stress reduction,
Yeah,
writing.
definitely.
Yeah, writing your thoughts down, especially as an author. It's nice to have when you have all these thoughts in your head to feel like, oh my gosh, where am I going to start? You know what? Start with journaling. And you may not be starting at the beginning of the book, but maybe start at the end of the book and then work your way
Yeah,
back.
I mean, honestly, writing fiction is all my fiction books are journals. I feel like it's therapy for me. I'm getting it out because I have all these movies living rent free in my head, and I'm like, they're driving me nuts.
Rent
So
free.
I
Well,
feel better until the
as
end.
the landlord, you're not really paying attention, and you should probably take care of those rent free people living in your
Yeah,
head and get them out there into a book.
absolutely.
Self reflection, like we talked about in a little earlier, is like going and seeing where you started and now where you've come, how far you've come. Especially if someone's overcoming addiction, overcoming some kind of abuse, overcoming certain types of trauma. These are great ways to get it out there. If you're not comfortable with always talking to someone, you can talk to your journal. Like I said in Anne Frank, she called her diary Katie or Kitty, I think. I think it was Kitty. She wrote to Kitty. Kitty was this journal that she was writing to. So it was almost like she thought she was talking to someone else.
Yep. Goal setting and tracking, and
Mhm.
excellent tool for setting goals and monitoring your progress. This is why we keep workout journals. Actually, the Ultimate Vocal Workout Diary that I created for the exercises, there's also a section for my breathing exercises I talk about in the Ultimate Breathing Workout. Now, I will never make this claim, but I cannot tell you how many people who are asthmatics have went through this process. And I have a student right now who says, "Hey, I can't believe I've been doing your breathing, keeping the diary for like 6 months now. And like a month or two in, I wasn't having as many asthma attacks." And, and I'm sure it's because now she's more conscious, she's calmer, stress is reduced, she's built more strength in her diaphragm muscles, lungs. But same thing with any type of workout journal or goal setting. Like, I want to write a book by the end of the year, and you're keeping that journal, or I want to meet this weight, or I want to gain this much muscle. So it's just something. If you want to reach a goal, I'm just going to say it: keep a freaking journal. Just do it. It doesn't matter how small it is or how big it is. Just keep track of
Yes.
something every day. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was agreeing with you. And I also, these next two, I'm putting these two together, problem solving and emotional processing. I feel like you kind of like when you're emotionally processing and you're trying to solve what the problem is, they kind of go hand in hand. Sometimes they're obviously separate, but a lot of times you're trying to find a solution or perspective. Sometimes writing it down can help you see the perspective. It's like when you write a chapter, you're like, I just want to get it out. And you're like, okay, wait, that doesn't make sense. I got to move this around. It's the same thing when you're trying to solve a problem in your life or when you're trying to overcome something emotional. And I liken this to, and I put this in the notes, it's when you write a text when you're angry with someone, sometimes you write it out and then you never send it.
Yep, I've been there.
And it's therapeutic because you're like, I wrote it out. Keep that. Title your journal. All the texts I never sent. That'd be a pretty good book.
I would be. I cannot count how many times. It's so funny you said that. I've been like some snide comment on Facebook or something, and I'm like, and I read back through 3 times because I'm the typo king. And as I'm reading, the anger is just leaving me. And I'm like, what purpose does it serve to even respond? They're set in their ways, or that's what they think. And all you're doing is stirring the pot. And not that I'm afraid of confrontation, but I'm like, I don't really care about it. The anger is gone. So it's deletes, and then you feel better. So do that.
I don't have the delete button though, for some strange reason. I
You
have
just
only
hit
the
send.
send. I only have the send.
Yeah.
Did you see my post yesterday?
No.
Yeah, on Facebook it says I only make two things: good-looking children and people mad. But the
You
thing is,
probably think that about me, but it's just like, what was it one day? We was talking about an author, and I'm like, it is what it is, or something. You're like, well, gosh, Grouchy, I can't believe you're like it. I'm like, no, I wasn't meaning that. It was them. I guess I should have hit
yes,
send.
no, it's funny.
Well, I have to. Every singer I work with, I don't care if they're older than me. I feel like they're my children. I'm very protective. And when you're like singing live, and I actually get this a lot. There's a singer named James LaBrie from Dream Theater who's been through a lot. He's had ruptures in his vocal cords from food poisoning. And this band is immaculate. And he's one of these rare singers who he sings so pure. And if you're a pure singer, you notice every little nuance. Now, you could be a singer like from AC/DC and have a raspy voice, and you can get away with a lot of stuff. You could be flat, you could be sharp, you can
Hmm.
kind of sing the phrasing a little different. No one's going to notice. But when you're that clean and immaculate, oh, he didn't hold that note out as long as this one, or he's a little bit under. I used to get so mad and flip out. And I did this the other day, and I didn't do a few, but I went back and reread them. I was like, I want to make it a little less snarky, but I want to put them in their place. And it did. They ended up deleting the post because they were roasted. But I felt so much better.
Right?
So,
Yeah, that's something that I have got better with, and I attribute that to my husband coming to me and saying exactly what you said was, why do you care?
yeah.
Because I had to tell them.
Political. Yeah. Same thing with my wife. I'm like, why? You're not going to change anybody's minds.
Oh,
So,
yeah, I don't do political stuff. I just
yep.
unfollow. Yeah,
Yep.
that
Yep.
one I don't even care because I know I'm not going to change anybody's minds. That one I don't worry about. But anyway, we've
Next one.
covered a lot of these throughout the thing, but the one is the increased self-confidence I wanted to cover, because when you're reviewing your past, like I said, you realize I have grown, and that's going to help you with your own personal confidence in pursuing what it was you were setting the goal for, what you were trying to achieve. Noticing, okay, I have become stronger. It's the same thing with writing. I say this to everyone. My first two books I was learning to write. Crystal Gate was my learning to write book. And I got better with Four Rivers. Even Rich told me, he's like, your writing has improved. I can see you listen to what I said.
Yeah,
My writing got
creativity grows in leaps and bounds,
Mhm.
as
Yeah,
you're journaling.
as long as you're willing to grow. Some people feel like they're already, I'm
Yeah,
good where I'm at.
yeah.
If you're wanting to increase your confidence and your ability to do something, journaling is a great way to build that, because you can see, yeah, this is working. Okay, this was a great idea to start with, but I'm going to change this now that I'm starting to put this down. What?
If you're not willing to grow, then do not hire Rich Dalglish as your editor, because he gonna put you in your place. Yes. But I thank God I was willing to grow. Yes, the butcher, because I'm like, what? You took half my book away, but it makes sense. So
Mhm.
yes,
Yes.
authors, be willing to grow.
Yes. Real quickly, now this part's good. The elements of journaling. The elements of journaling is being consistent with your writing. You don't have to do it every day, but try to do it often. That way you can see a progressive consistency in your how you're building yourself, in your habits, and forming these journaling processes.
Yeah, personalization. I mean, you got to make it your own. If you're a doodler, if you like to write initials or little flowers or whatever, do that. If there's quotes, like I said, I used to start my journal with a mantra, whatever it was, like today I'll do better than yesterday, whatever. Just make it personal and don't try to fit it like it's got to be exactly what my teacher said. No, this is about you. This is your reflection. This is your personality. Use it to better yourself and grow.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And a key component would be to look back, like you said, so you can plan for the future. Like again, there's no rules with journaling. And there's no wrong or right way to do it, because there's so many outlets. There's so many ways that you can keep track and journal these things. So it's just the fact that you have to find the method that works for you and make it become part of your regular practice so it benefits you. So be flexible and just kind of figure out what works and just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. So you say just do it, but how do we start a journal?
You got to choose what fits your needs. You got to figure, is it the digital type? Is it more of a writing? There's tons of people on Etsy that sell journal basic kits, and then you can kind of put your stickers in there. You can start laying it out how you want it. There's a lot of different ways that you can find creative journaling, and to explore different styles that resonate with you personally. There's all that out there.
Yeah, and just go to Amazon. I remember like there was a wave maybe 15 years ago. Journaling got really popular into self-help again, and there was like these positive mindset journals, and they were laid out like the day, and they had quotes and how happy am I? 1, 2, 3, 4, had all like over 2 pages for like 6 months laid out, and I went through. And none of them really struck me. And then I'll just do it in a notebook. But a
Yeah,
lot
and
of people like
and
that.
I know you say you go to Amazon, you can do that, but I'm going to suggest Etsy, because Etsy has a great small business of people who create journals that are very personal, and you can like
So
ask for
when you
different things.
say this, is it handheld print journal or is it a digital? Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had no clue.
Well, and digital, because sometimes you can buy the digital template
And
and
just print it.
upload it. No, you upload it to your phone or
Okay.
to your laptop, and it's like a background that's created, and you just pay like $4.95 for the template, and it gives you all these templates with that theme. And there's a lot of that on Etsy, because these are small business people that create stuff, and this is their way to sell it. I would suggest going to Etsy, or somehow finding someone that on a more smaller scale that's what they do, is they create these journals,
Well, I mean,
or make one yourself.
much better. I'd rather support a small business. So,
Same.
yeah.
Yeah. Don't overthink it. Yeah. Just let it flow naturally. You don't have to share it with the world. This is you. So to get it out there and be like, oh, that sounds corny. Well, how would you make it not corny? Then you can improve that. See where your goals are changing, or where you're strengthening yourself. Like, oh, that's corny, but now you're not so corny.
Yeah, your daily layout for your journal is not set in stone. Let it evolve with you. It's like you said, if you went back to a journal from your childhood to now, like, look how I've grown. Well, you can grow in a week.
Mm-hmm.
If so, follow your guts.
Yeah. I like how you put this here, the prompts, right? Especially with fiction journals, the whole like, what if I'm writing a chapter, here's your chapter, but what if this happens? Okay, this is how this is going to react. What if so and so does this? Okay, this is what this character's going to do. This is a great way to kind of build your world for your storyline.
Well, I mean, I know this was in there and I did AI, but I expand on that. And the reason being is because when I was a kid, there was these choose your own adventure books. And you'd be like
You
the
talked about
warlock
these,
of
yeah.
which top mountain, or I forget the name, but and I'd go in there and I'm like, well, do you open this door or do you keep going on to the next door? And so
Yes.
you could read this book again and again.
Yeah, we talked about that one time. How that's a cool idea and how they came up with some show on Netflix that took 25 years to make or something where it doesn't matter if you watch it in a different order, the outcome's different. Okay. So you listed a few journaling apps. Which of these have you used?
Okay, let me go down through here because I have used, of course, the basic text to speech, but Evernote, I've used that. I've actually used Dragon, but it was back when I was Dragon Naturally Speaking when it would turn it type to text. And so when I first started experimenting with that, but as I was researching these, the one that's called Day One
I've
seems to
seen
be
that one.
it's like the big one because it does everything. It's a clean interface. You can add photos. You can do location tagging, the weather info, like you said earlier. And I didn't know that was that big of a thing. It syncs across your devices, so you can journal from anywhere. You can journal on your iPad, on your computer, on your iPhone.
That just reminded me. One thing that we didn't list was a sleep journal.
Yes, but would that
People
be
do
like a yes? Because like the sleep trackers. How did
hmm
I, and you
the
can keep
digital
your
sleep
track.
tracker so people can see like, am I waking up? Am I breathing? All those things. Am I farting?
Yeah, that's why I don't keep one.
I did one a while ago because I thought I was here. I was waking up and hearing things. I started recording and try to catch whatever I was hearing because I thought there's a ghost in my
It
room.
was your hubby.
No, he was working night shifts, so it was only
Okay.
me. Anyways, but
The next one is called Journey. It's kind of like Day One, but it also everything. You can add photos, videos. You can add audio entries. It syncs with your cloud, and it can even be used for bullet journaling. So if you're like me, if you need to keep a track of lists, that would be perfect for you. I'm still like old school though. I like to write it pen and paper, honestly.
pen and paper, but then I do when I'm writing things, but I like to have a digital format as well. Like I like both. But yeah. But this Memento one seems kind of interesting. I may look at this one because this one's a unique app that it'll pull together your social media accounts like Instagram and Facebook and stuff. And it's ideal for people who want to chronicle their digital life alongside personal journaling.
Yeah, and I thought that one was cool too because I'm one. I mean, I'd have to get it to see, but I'm like, I wonder if you can set it to pull back and like till you started. Because I'll be like, oh, I forgot about,
Yeah, like
I forgot about this trip, or I did this or that. So if it like really researches your account, there'll be memories that you totally forgot about.
yeah, maybe. That'd be kind of cool. Interesting. I might try that. I might try to look into that one, see how that one works.
And you put in here there's a journal app already on your phone, by the way.
Yeah.
I think it was I did not know that.
Yeah, literally on your it's on your iPhone. It's called Journal. It's like a little app right there. It looks like
Okay.
a butterfly.
Oh, I've seen that. I just didn't pay attention. So, and you had asked me when we talked about this, like, what about text to speech apps? Well, that's day one. That's one of the reasons I mentioned that it does text to speech.
Mhm.
So, but you have your basic text to speech already
And that's
exists.
why your text to speech messes up.
Exactly. So, and then I read it 3 times and I still don't fix it. But I do it with the notes. I do it with Google Docs. I'm so used to using text to speech all the time. Otter AI that will transcribe voice recordings into texts. So if you're like that, if you're like da 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 da, and you're just talking out loud, and you're like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that because now I got to go back and do text to speech. There you go.
Interesting. All right. Google Keep. This is offers text to speech fun. This is a quick and simple at capturing random thoughts and short. There's a lot of them. You mentioned Evernote and Dragon, of course.
Yeah, Evernote's kind of like to me. It was kind of like Google Docs. So I'm like I already used Docs, so I didn't need it as much.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, so that's the kind of like the gist for journaling. Just keep in mind, this is something that we would encourage you to do, especially if you're an author, but especially for just your mental health, stress relief, creative organization, all these things that journaling can promote and help you through. It's a great thing. People have been doing it for years and centuries and millennia. Like, it's something that people obviously enjoy and want to do.
And something that we didn't mention, and by gosh, this must be a really interesting topic because I think this is the longest podcast we've done. I just looked at the time. But you can invite listeners, we're wanting to invite you to share this on social media. You're always like, what should I talk about on social media? Well, if you're keeping a journal, you already have built-in ideas, to post on Instagram, to turn into a quick video and share like, oh, today in my journal. So, think
Yeah,
outside the
tag us in it.
box. Yep.
Tag us in it. That'd be kind
Yes,
of cool.
please do.
Yeah.
Because we inspired you with an hour and 6 minutes and 15 seconds.
Well, I think 6 minutes of that was you going like this.
It was, wasn't it? So, so it won't really be that. But who knows? We might talk another 6 minutes and it'll work its way out.
I'm kidding. All right. This has been good. It's been great.
No, I'm not. Okay.
I know.
I was messing with you.
If you would like to follow us on all of our social media or find other ways to listen to us, and then what you're listening to us right now, you can see us on YouTube. You can also see us on Spotify or listen to us on Spotify, on Amazon Music and Apple Podcasts. And if you need to find those icons, you can go to alwayswritepodcast.com, click on the little icons. And then if you would like to send us an email, talk about your journaling, or if you have another show idea, you can reach out to us at our email at alwayswritepodcast@gmail.com. And I feel like I'm going to go download one of those journaling apps, and I'm going to start today doing other journals about something. I'm going to find something I need to journal.
I think I want to grab Memento.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one I'm going to go to. I'm going to check that one out because that seems kind of cool because it'll bring in a lot of your social media and see we can maybe touch this in a year from now. Let's talk about journaling and what we've discovered about journaling in a year from now.
That'd be great, but I got to make Chris a promise. I promise I won't get into it because I've only got so many days to go into pseudo-write before we have our next podcast with.
Yes, with pseudo-write coming on, we're excited to have them on. Tune in to the next episode because we will have pseudo-write and maybe you can ask some questions. And we've got a giveaway for our listeners.
We do.
Yes. All right. Thanks for listening. As always, I'm author Karisa DeLay.
And I'm author Jaime Vendera, and we'll see you in the next episode.
All right. Always write.